One of the most impressive structures in Calcutta is the 28,000 tons new Howrah Bridge, opened in 1943. This cantilever structure allowed trams to cross the Hooghly for the first time. It also ended the long-standing isolation of 3 local lines in Howrah. Although photography of or in the vicinity of the bridge was strictly forbidden, these next sequences capture the bridge in all its glory, with the trams arriving and departing from their terminal loop outside Howrah station. By the early 60s, most shorter distance commuter trains were EMUs, but with steam still covering longer distance journeys. Until their complete closure in 1971, the 2-foot gauge Martin's Light Railway services terminated at Howrah Maiden Station, opened in 1948. Most of the tiny locos had been built to the same design by Hunslet between 1906 and 1955. Every day, endless hordes of commuters battle their way onto the non-stop procession of overladen trams and floor-scraping buses. In the early 60s, most local bus operations had been nationalised, with passenger loadings exceeding 500 million per year. Howrah's 3 local routes, which serve some of the worst areas of urban deprivation, never offered first-class accommodation. Because the Sibpur line ended in a stub with a trolley reverser, Howrah Depot maintains some 30 double-ended C and D class cars. Starting in 1960, a few were given new bodies. A rare view of E-Class 297 with a trailer in Howrah in 1961. Crippling congestion would lead to suspension of the 2 Bandagat routes in October 1970. The 3 locals, 40, 41 and 42, had their own loop close to the station. A short distance from the loop, the Bandagat route swung away to the right, whilst the Sibpur cars turned left. Note inbound E-Class motorcar and trailer. The last local, the 40, was abandoned on the 5th of December 1971. The Sibpur cars crossed the long bridge spanning the approaches to Howrah station and the tracks serving the many riverside wharves. After the closures, most of these elderly two-axle cars crossed the river, where a few, freshly painted, ran as single first-class only units. Then in the mid-70s, others were transformed into the final batch of streamlined trains, for which the company also built brand new trailers. Given the numbers between 180 and 192, some appeared in this somewhat garish livery. "172 was mounted on ex-Stockport trucks. Brian Healy filmed the trams in 1978, immediately before the CTC received an injection of cash from the World Bank, which enabled them to embark on some long overdue modernization. For example, many of the articulateds will be given new or totally refurbished bodies. The city was also in a state of ongoing upheaval as it struggled to build its first metro. This would eventually impact on the tramways, leading to closures and route alterations. At its maximum, the large CTC fleet had been accommodated in 8 depots. Joining the fleet between 1974 and 1976 had been 27 company-built deluxe or Sundari articulateds, most of these riding on ex-Bombay maximum traction trucks. Later known as Class S, there were some differences. For example, the majority were first class only. Some also had twin as opposed to single headlights. However, all 27 had single-piece windscreens and roller-blind destinations. When Alan Morrison made his visit in November 1980, large areas of the city were in a state of upheaval due to metro construction. Here, Rail Scrubber 2, complete with its drinking water trailer, rolls into Esplanade. Redesigned in 1952, Esplanade consisted of an amazing spider's web of loops and sidings. This was the system's operational hub. Except for one instance, all other termini had turning circles. Watching these action-packed sequences allows time for a few comments on the state-owned company's labour relations in the early 80s. The huge workforce of nearly 9,000 employees meant that for every tram there were nearly 32 men. Drivers and conductors received equal pay, with the latter also getting bonuses relating to the amount of fares collected. A driver received 4 months training, a conductor 3 weeks, but also had to demonstrate a grasp of the 3 major languages, Hindi, Bengali and English. The company also had a strong family tradition, as most men on retiring at 60 could nominate their own successor. Graham Mather was one of 12 British enthusiasts to make an extensive study of the tramway in October 1980. During the trip, Graham produced this remarkable record of the system, including many sections which, since opening of the metro, have subsequently closed. His coverage begins on the heavily used link from Howrah Station across the Hooghly. By this time, many cars were carrying a harder-wearing dark blue paint scheme. Turning from Strand Road into Hare Street. Action at BBD Bag, formerly Dalhousie Square, which in 1980 was terminus for some 10 lines, as well as numbers of frequent short workings. Looking far from beautiful, this battered Sundari, Sundari means beautiful in Bengali, trundles in on the 25, with clear evidence that its roller blinds were no longer working. Wellington Junction. Mahatma Gandhi Road. On October the 22nd, the party boarded Sundari 580 in Garriahat Depot, now closed. The wire netting screens had first appeared in the late 40s to protect drivers from periodic outbursts of protest. Outside the depot, a car travels along the reserved track linking Park Circus to Garriahat Junction. By July 2004, this section had been lifted. Time was allowed for filming on the reserved track along Rashbihari Avenue. Crossing over the boat canal at Marjahat en route to Bihala. A former PAYE car on ex-Bombay trucks is seen on Diamond Harbour Road. Bihala Terminus. At the end of 1986, a 4.5-mile extension would be opened from here to Joka, where the company also built a new depot.